Ways that men and women bond to each other differently. Yes, here we are again, acknowledging the little known fact that men and women are different. Biologically, hormonally, evolutionarily, and psychologically. The male brain is, on average, about 10% larger than the female brain, and they need up to 30 times more testosterone than the female body. So it should come to no surprise that men bond differently to women than women bond to men. Now, here's one of the ways that women bond to men, and that is through words, through connecting through language. Evolutionarily speaking, our survival used to depend on forming social bonds and keeping close relationships with those in our tribe. So because of this, the female brain actually uses about 10,000 more words a day on average than the male brain, which is a very significant difference. That's why we tend to be more auditory than men are, and we tend to hang on to words that men say to us, even if they are somewhat talking smack. Or rather, shall I say, caught up in a lustful fantasy, because sometimes men, they say a lot of charming things and promise a lot of beautiful, dreamy things by using words to us and really using their hunter instinctual nature to kind of captivate us, which is why you sometimes really just have to take what they say as a grain of salt, and not that they're lying or that they don't mean that you are the most beautiful woman that they've ever seen. But just that it doesn't really mean that much, right? It doesn't really take that much for the male brain to be sexually attracted to a woman. Any woman can have thousands of potential suitors to be sexually attracted to her. So that's not the standard. The standard is not to have a man that is sexually attracted to you and charming you with all the right words, and luring you in that way. That's not the standard here. Okay, because the most instinctual and unconscious part of the male brain is to win the mating game and get his DNA into the next generation. So sometimes they tug on our heartstrings by promising futures, trips, fantasies for us, that sometimes lets us get too caught up in that fantasy, and we again cling on to those dreams that we have and fall too hard for them. Younger me got a little too in over her head. Older me, not so much anymore. But I do get it, and I can relate to being very auditory and hanging on to all of these dreams and fantasies and empty promises that guys sometimes propose to you. You know, I had a guy in my life for many years that would propose empty promises and say all the right things of what he is able to provide financially, and just kind of sell himself and things that he was going to do, because that is the hunter instinct in men, right? So selling himself and proving himself is not a bad thing. You just have to have the feminine wisdom to discern whether he is serious or not, because he wasn't a bad guy, and I don't believe that he was lying, right? But when it came down to fulfilling those fantasies, I like to call it, fulfilling those fantasies and empty promises, he couldn't reach that standard that I had set for him. And so all of those fantasies and empty promises really meant nothing in the end. Does that make sense? So all of those fancy trips and ways of providing sound really nice to the female brain, but it means nothing if he can't protect her heart, right? And that is the standard here, not this lustful infatuation. So we women bond through being able to share and vent and connect emotionally and share things that come up inside of us that are maybe sometimes a bit irrational and illogical and just crazy and victimizing ourselves, and those kind of poor me, whiny baby feelings that we have, which are inevitable and perfectly the human experience, right? So when we're able to share that and lean on a man's lean on his masculinity and his groundedness in being able to have that with him, that is how we are able to bond to them. You know, we have to be able to really feel a man's strength and his ability to contain the fullness of our femininity and the multifaceted parts of who we are that make us up as feminine energy women. And so we have to be able to feel the fullness of what that is, and they have to be able to contain that and hold that with strength, protection, provision, love, logic, all of those masculine qualities. Okay, I hope I'm making sense here. Sometimes when Aunt Flo comes to visit, my thoughts get a little bit scattered. Okay, so that versus how men bond to women, and men bond to women through a series of doing, action, giving, providing, and protecting. When they are selflessly serving, increasing their testosterone, vasopressin, and oxytocin when you are around. And this cocktail of hormones causes men to bond to us. So what does that look like? Well, when he is doing for you, whether it be that he's taking you out on a nice date and providing that experience for you, paying for the date, driving you there, that's a big one. Or maybe when he's cooking for you, or bringing you gifts, or fixing something for you. Those Mr. Fix-It guys especially, which is what I tend to be very highly attracted to. These all increase his testosterone and vasopressin bond to you. Now, vasopressin is produced when a man solves a problem with you and sees you more as an ally rather than his competitor. You know, when you're letting him solve problems for you and you're not being overly combative about it, but you're showing him that you're on his team and you're his teammate and you support him and you encourage him, and all of those beautiful ways that feminine women nurture and show their appreciation. See, men, they keep a point system for what they do for you and what they give to you. And and I had heard this theory and questioned it myself. And then when one guy said it to me about the points that he's earned, I was like, okay. And then the next one said it, and then the next one said it. And I'm like, wow, men really are keeping point systems for everything that they do that add up to the big reward and achieving their goal in the end. This is very cute, okay? Because they literally remember all the things that they do for you and the ways that they provide and give to you. So that way they feel they can get rewarded. You know, people always say, oh, well, men are like dogs. You just got to give them a treat and pat them on the head and tell them that they're doing a good job. And there's some truth to that. And so they want to play a game that they can win. So these are some of the ways that men will bond to you hormonally and psychologically and emotionally, when they feel like they can win with you and you're appreciative of what they are doing in giving. Okay, so it's very different than a woman's bond. Men, they need to exert their testosterone. They need to exert some kind of energy that they have so charged up in the mornings to go out and fight. They need to use up that energy in order to bond to you. You know, scientists have also conducted studies to prove the theory that men are elated to be able to provide to their loved ones. So they experience a surge of oxytocin when they are getting up and going for the hunt and kill, which in these times is now the equivalent of getting up and going to work and fight the world day in and day out. That these men experience more oxytocin to be able to provide that to their families. So basically, it's chemical evidence that they become more bonded through oxytocin when they are providing to their loved ones, which in this case means you, when they are earning your love and trying to prove what they can give and provide for you. It's the perfect cocktail of hormones. Okay, so to wrap this up, women bond through words, through connecting, through feeling emotionally protected and safe, through his ability to listen to her, empathize with her, understand what she's going through, venting, sharing, tugging at those heartstrings. That's how women overall bond to men. Men, on the other hand, bond to women when they are doing, giving, serving, providing, listening to her. When they are tallying up their little point system and feel as though they are being rewarded for all of their efforts. The point system thing always gets me because it's so cute and it's so fascinating how so many of them literally keep track, literally keep points that they feel they deserve in their efforts. Okay, trust me. I've been on hundreds of dates with hundreds of men and have encountered so many men throughout my journey where their energy is just constantly and consistently coming towards me. So believe what I'm saying. I've studied the male brain. I've studied the male mind, their body language, their words, their gestures, all of this for so long now, and I know what I'm talking about. I know the things and the ins and outs of what keeps them around, and I know what keeps me around, okay? So anyways, I'm gonna cut it off here, and hopefully you guys have found this to be very helpful. Leave a comment or a question down below, or feel free to DM me or reach out to me via email. I get back to every single one of your questions and comments, and I always appreciate hearing from you. Make sure you subscribe in order to stay tuned for more videos like this. If you also love learning about men and women and our differences and how we can create the best harmonious, most polaritive, is that even a word, relationship possible. So anyways, until the next video, I will talk to you guys soon. Love you.